Hello, Mark Suttoth, HurricaneTrack.com here. Time to talk about what is now Tropical Storm Harvey. I am putting this together at 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and I am in Houston, Texas. And the National Hurricane Center has confirmed through the Air Force plane that the depression is now a tropical storm. Tropical Storm Harvey. In this update statement right here, we'll click on it and just get the particulars real quick. Go through the details here. Come on, work with me. And so that shows you the importance of recon. And it says, an Air Force Reserve Hurricane Hunter aircraft just measured tropical storm force winds in Harvey. They are 40 miles per hour. So here it is. We can now officially call it Tropical Storm Harvey. So the update from this evening, we can take a look at the track map here, and then we're going to go over the discussion. And let's single out this image. All right, so they now do officially on the map show it reaching hurricane intensity before landfall somewhere along the central to lower Texas coast. Exactly where that happens is still up for debate, and we're going to have to just wait and see, unfortunately. And then you notice that the cone of uncertainty becomes a circle. This looks like a big microphone or an ice cream cone. And but nothing funny or childish about it. This is very serious because we are now looking at the possibility of a significant hurricane, and I'm going to show you why I think that in a minute, and then the possibility of this flooding potential, and that now is beginning to include the Rio Grande Valley, more so perhaps than the Houston area, but Houston is not out of the woods yet, okay? This is very important. And things are very dynamic. Unfortunately, with the way Harvey is trapped between these two areas of high pressure, we don't have just one big ridge over here that's going to steer Harvey right on into Mexico as the ridge builds over the top of it, so to speak. And it goes straight in, and that's the end of it, like we saw with Franklin as an example. We have, just generally speaking, ridging out here, and then we have the ridge out over here, and Harvey is kind of caught in between the two. And this is just a very simplistic way of looking at it, and it doesn't know exactly where to go. It's been playing sort of bumper cars. All right, so let's take a look at the latest satellite animation, and there's a blank image because something was wrong with the imager, so it's just a glitch, but no big deal. There's a couple things I want to point out. You notice how the air all through here seems to be clockwise in the upper atmosphere. You see, everything's going this way, and then it's going this way, and then it's going this way for the most part. There's still a little bit of an upper level low somewhere in here, maybe impeding things a little bit, but you got this outflow developing, and man, that is a real sign that this is ready to take off. It's still globular and no real evidence of spiral banding yet, but I think that's going to change tomorrow. As the environment becomes better for this, the upper level low dissipates, and Harvey is able to take advantage of fairly ideal conditions in the Gulf of Mexico. So let's go back. I want to read the discussion here. Really important to sort of digest this, analyze it, and understand it. So this was written by veteran forecaster Bevan, Dr. Jack Bevan. So let's just start at the top. This is pretty lengthy. All right. So obviously, this first paragraph is now obsolete because since this was written around 10 p.m. Central Time, we know that Harvey is a tropical storm. So let's just move on down to the next area here. This one deals with the direction. The initial motion is a rather uncertain 325 degrees at 2 knots. A weak mid-level ridge to the northeast of Harvey should cause the cyclone to move on a northwestward or north-northwestward track through 48 to 72 hours. And this motion should bring the center inland over southern Texas. Later, steering currents weaken as a ridge builds over the southwestern United States and a trough drops down from the plains. As a result, Harvey should decelerate while making landfall and move very slowly inland of the coast. There is a major spread amongst the large-scale models from 3 to 5 days, with the UK Met, that's the United Kingdom Met model, forecasting a slow northward motion into eastern Texas, the GFS a southwestward motion over Texas, and the ECMWF a cyclonic loop that moves the system back out over the Gulf of Mexico. Given the uncertainty, the new forecast track shows a slow motion over southern Texas during that time, and that's why we saw that circle instead of a cone, with a change from the small right turn of the previous forecast to a small left turn. Overall, the track lies a little to the right of the consensus models through 72 hours. So that's a little bit telling that their forecast is just a little bit to the right side of the track, depending on which way you're looking at it, the east side, the northeast side of the track, and because the consensus models are a little bit more south and west is one way to look at that. So let's scroll down. As an upper level low seen in water vapor imagery over the northwestern Gulf of Mexico appears to be weakening. Okay, this is important right here. And as this happens, Harvey should end up in a low shear environment. Okay, that's important too. This should allow strengthening over the deep water in the western Gulf of Mexico. The new intensity forecast is adjusted slightly to show Harvey explicitly becoming a hurricane in 2 days, and some additional strengthening could occur between the 48-hour point and landfall. After landfall, Harvey is expected to weaken, obviously. However, the forecast track keeps the system close enough to the Texas coast that this weakening is likely to be slower than normal. Ugh. So that means that the people that are impacted by this is just going to hammer them. Since Harvey has moved slower than anticipated during the past 6 to 12 hours, warnings are not yet required for portions of the Texas coast. They'll probably be up sometime Thursday. All right, so then we have the key messages. If we look at that and scroll down here, come on. Yay. Multiple hazards in the first paragraph. Heavy rainfall, we've talked about that. Storm surge watch, and then the potential storm surge flooding map that comes out about an hour after the advisory package is issued. And I'm going to look at that tomorrow. I don't think it's quite time, since we don't know with any real specifics where Harvey is going to end up. And I do want to go back and look at the public advisory real quick, if I can do that, just to look at the hazards impacting land and the storm surge section. Hazards affecting land, obviously heavy rainfall, 20 inches maximum over portions of the area, 3 to 9 inches during the same time, 3 to 9 inches over parts of south central and eastern Texas and the lower Mississippi Valley. So this is getting, the flooding is definitely getting the attention it deserves. Storm surge, okay, Port Mansfield to High Island, still 4 to 6 feet. And so that hasn't changed. But I think this is going to go up, and I'm going to show you why in a moment. All right, so let's get on with it. I appreciate you sitting through that. Those details are important. Okay, so the vorticity signature of Harvey tonight becoming more round in its appearance. I said that it would, and it is. And, I mean, it's obvious. It was headed that way. Still a little bit of a teardrop shape to it, right there on the northwest side. But that, too, will flatten out. And then this will be a more rounded look, I think, when we examine this tomorrow. And, just for not to ignore it, there is energy over here off the coast of Florida between there and Cuba. And that might try to develop into something out in this area over the next few days. We can focus on that as needed, don't worry. And the rest of the tropical Atlantic quiet for now. Upper level winds, this big anticyclone trying to develop over the area as the upper level low goes bye-bye. And we're going to see a lot more green in the coming couple of days. The green is go for development, red, obviously stop, etc. All right, so let's take a look at the models now. So this is, or the model, the global forecast system just coming out in the last 90 minutes or so. And this is the very latest run. This is what we call the 0Z run, or UTC. It was initialized at 0 Universal Time Coordinate, or what we call Zulu time, and that's the same as 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So this is the initial conditions. This is where we start from. And here's Harvey down here at the 5,000 foot level of the atmosphere. Remember, the atmosphere is made up of layers, and this is the 5,000 foot level. You can see a little bit of a ridge here to the north and west of Harvey that Dr. Bevan talked about. It's weak. It's not very prominent, and it does not extend, down here like this. If it did, Harvey would be forced right into Mexico like that. Okay? So let's put this into motion, and what we're looking for is to see what the appearance of this signature is over the coming couple of days. And I have to tell you, when I see this, right there before landfall, it really tightens up quickly. And then it just hangs out near the coast. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, there's still time in terms of U.S. interests, that this could come in and just kind of die out over Mexico like that. I suppose that's a possibility. I'll be really interested to see what the UK Met shows later tonight, because its run from earlier today was up again into eastern Texas like that. And we'll see what the other modeling shows. But this shows me a hurricane that's pretty intense there. How much? It's hard to say. There are different sites. You can look at tropicaltidbits.com and get the surface pressure. But what I'm looking at is the structure, the health of the system, and the different layers. And here it is at the 5,000 foot level at hour number 58. So this would be Saturday morning during the day. Well, that's good, roughly, anyway, for a lot of reasons. All right, so let's go back to the beginning of the loop. This is the 5,000 foot level, or 850 millibars. I'm going to show you a layer that I don't often use until it's important. This is the 500 millibar level. Excuse me. And now we're up at 18 to 20,000 feet, something like that in the atmosphere. So the vorticity, the energy, I wanted to see what does it look like, and is it aligned with the low-level vorticity? And it's not yet. So there's the energy at the 500 millibar level, and watch what happens when I go back over here and we look at the energy at the 850 millibar level. It's a little bit displaced to the southwest. So you see that comparison? 850, 500, and they're not quite lined up. But as you'll see, that really doesn't matter. If I put this into motion, it'll let me. Watch what happens. This really takes off. Everything lines up, presumably. And let's just look at it right there at hour number 40 and advance the other one to hour number 40. All right? So there we go through time, and then we can compare them. And this is what I like to do. I want to see how well are these aligned. There it is. There's hour number 40, 850 millibars, 500 millibars. They are both completely lined up, it looks like. You see that? Right on top of each other. That is a stacked, well-developed hurricane in the model field. Also at 500 millibars, you notice there's the outline of this ridge right here of high pressure. And so this is a large area of high pressure right here, denser, thicker air, and it's trying to keep Harvey from gaining more latitude than it is. It's sort of shoving it to the west a little bit. So these are all the different things we have to look at. And then, of course, if we keep moving through the images at the 500 millibar level, once it makes landfall at roughly 52 hours out, so actually it makes landfall in the middle of the night, so that stinks. I was wrong. So that's 52 hours. We'll advance this to 52 hours as well. And we look at the differences, and they are still well lined up. And you notice at this time frame too, something trying to take shape off of Florida. Going to keep it unsettled over there. We will watch that. I may have my hands very full. All right, a couple of things to note. Upper ocean heat content for the Gulf of Mexico certainly is fairly high, meaning that the water is not only warm at the surface, but it's also warm deep down in the ocean, in the Gulf. So plenty of heat content in the middle third of the scale here, so that's definitely a factor. Remember earlier it was mentioned that a warm eddy had broken off from the loop current, I do believe. I don't know for sure if it's this that they were talking about or if it's that. It might be this one right here. I'm not completely sure. I'd have to look into it. That it broke off from the loop current over here and eventually made its way over to the western Gulf And now, if this is the right one, this warm eddy is sort of a swirling area of water, is ample extra heat content that's moving. So as you churn up the water, more warm water moves underneath like a conveyor belt. And that's lying pretty much right in the path of Harvey as it approaches landfall. Now, before you say, well, look at the blue near the coast, that's colder water. Well, no, those are just the colors denoting the temperatures. Those sea surface temperatures are still in the lower 80s, 81, 82 degrees. So there's plenty of upper ocean heat content and surface heat for this to take advantage of. All right, so like I said, I am in Texas, and I want to expand this map a little bit here. What are my plans? Well, right now I am up here in the Houston area, all right, so over here somewhere. And the landfall looks like it could be somewhere down in this area right now. We'll see. So I'm going to have to just wait like everybody else. You know, what if it comes in and it's over Matamoros or something? Well, then I would have to go down here to South Padre. I may go down to South Padre anyway. I got to figure out where I'm going to set up the equipment. Part of the countryside down here in Kennedy County, especially, I think it's right through here, is mostly ranch country, and I can't really get to the coast. You got Corpus Christi farther up the coast, which I believe, if I know my geography, is right in here. So if this comes in just south of Corpus, that puts Corpus Christi in the right front quadrant, and they would have a heck of a storm surge coming right on shore. So these are all things I have to consider. You know, I mean, what if it comes up and then it just kind of comes up the coast like that? I don't know. There's a lot of ifs. So tomorrow is a big day. I'm in Houston, like I just said. I'm going to be working on strategizing, getting equipment ready, making darn sure everything's going to work like it should. Got a late checkout at the hotel, so that's good. I can bring equipment in from the Tahoe and just get everything ready to go. I'm here a day earlier than I would normally be. I'm very glad I left yesterday to get here, and now I'm going to be ready. I'm going to get a good night's sleep, and I'm going to be on top of this thing. That's the plan anyway. All right, so tomorrow I will have an update in the morning, the mid-morning hours when I get up, and then probably one in the evening. And in between and during all that time, at some point, I will be streaming live through our YouTube channel. And I'll keep you up to date through there as well. So a lot going on, a lot to keep up with, a lot of unknowns, a lot of questions that we don't have answers to just yet. My best advice to you is to stay aware, get good sleep, don't worry about it, don't let it worry you unnecessarily, because once the time comes to act, you're going to need all the energy that you can get. That's why I'm here early, and that's why I'm going to get some sleep and not obsess over this. Thanks for watching throughout this entire lead up to this, when it was going through Barbados and threatening the Yucatan and Belize, and now here it is in the Gulf, and we're getting ready to see what the end story is, the last chapter of Harvey, yet to be written, but it's going to happen. Will it be in Texas? Will it be in northern Mexico? A combination of the two? We're going to all find out together. That's the part that I can guarantee you. Have a great rest of your night. Thanks as always for tuning in. I appreciate it more than you know. I'm Mark Sudduth from Houston, Texas for HurricaneTrack.com, and I'll have more for you later in the day on Thursday.